Hibah is a gift or present derived from the Arabic word which literally means gift. In Takaful, a participant will assign a nominee to receive an amount of gift when the participant has passed away. Hibah is calculated entirely separate from the amount of coverage that the Takaful will cover if something happens to the participant. Hibah will not be divided into the dependents of the participant. The importance of hibah in Islam is to allow a participant to distribute their wealth to anyone such as their wives, husbands, parents, children, and etc. The benefit of hibah is to facilitate the process of distributing the property of the deceased and prevent disputes between the deceased heirs over the property's ownership after his demise.
Hello everyone, my name is Rifa Fahri and my mantuk number is 276375, and now I will tell about 6 characteristics of hibah. First is an akad contract of granting property ownership to a specific party. The second is the contract is made with no intention to receive reward or honor a particular person. The third is the property that can be given as hibah is a physical ain property and not debt or benefit or interest. The fourth is hibah contract is made without imposing any reprisal iwat. The fifth is it is made voluntarily without coercion. The sixth is hibah contract is in effect during the lifetime of the hibah provider. That's all for me, and I will pass to the next speaker.
Assalamualaikum, my name is Nur Shafiza binti Samsudin, my matric number 281157. I will continue with pillar and condition of hibah. A hibah contract will not be formed unless the following pillars and condition meets. The first one is hibah provider or al-wahid. A hibah provider must be a person of worthiness with a sound mind, has attained puberty or baligh, and obeys the rules. A hibah provider must be the genuine owner of the item intended for hibah, as a property owner has full authority over his or her property. Hibah can be made in unlimited rate and be given to anybody he or she pleases, including to non-Muslim, as long as the intention does not violate Islamic law. Next pillar is hibah recipient or al-mawhub lahu. A hibah recipient can be of anyone as long as he or she has the capability to own property, either or accountable, which is mukhalaf, or non-accountable. If the hibah recipient is not a mukhalaf, such as has not reached puberty or disabled, the hibah is to be given to a guardian, which is wali, or a trustee on his or her behalf. The hibah recipients must receive the hibah property and has the authority to hold on to the property. In other words, ownership and control over the property must be given to the hibah recipient. Next, goods or property to be given as hibah should meet the following conditions, which is it must be lawful and halal goods or property. It must be a type of goods or property which has value according to Islamic law. Then, the goods or property belong to the hibah provider, and the ownership is transferable. It must truly exist during the times of the hibah. For example, a hibah is a void on non-existing goods or property. According to Imam Maliki, Shafi'i, and Hanbali, hibah on properties that are shared and cannot be divided is considered valid. In Islam, goods that are still in debt, like a house, can be given as hibah if consent can be obtained from the charger or borrower. Next, sirah, namely ijab and qabul. Sirah hibah is a pronouncement or an act which means giving and receiving of hibah. It is subject to the following conditions. There are continuation and similarities between ijab and qabul. No specific conditions are imposed on and not conditioned to a specific time period. Among the examples of the pronouncement of a clear ijab is when a giver says, I give these things to you, or through kinayah, as when a giver says, I have given the entitlement to you, or I have made things to become yours. While examples of qabul, acceptance, pronouncements are such as I accept, I am willing, and so on. In Islamic law, a certain hibah is made valid with the presence of ijab and qabul, either verbally or in any manner which carries the meaning of giving away of property ownership without repayment.
Hello, my name is Nasution Anissa Hardin. My metric number is 2688799 and I will present about type of hibah. Hibah in Islamic means the act of voluntarily giving ownership of property from one individual to another when the settler is still lively without inquiring for anything in return or relations or iwad. It is distinctive from a will, as a will is allowed to recipient after somebody passes. Hibah is energies in Islam as Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala comment at Surah Al-Baqarah ayah 177. And there is two categories of hibah. The first one is absolute hibah. It is additionally known as hibah al-munjiza. It is given as a gift when the settler is still alive. Nevertheless, there are a number of drawbacks when it comes to absolute hibah, such as higher cost. The settler misplaces his or her ownership on asset with immediate effect. The second is conditional hibah or umrah and kubra. A conditional hibah is legally binding hibah where the settler places certain conditions along with the hibah contract or akad for the exchange of proprietorship to happen. There are a few sorts of conditional hibah, but the most one are umrah. Ownership of asset is given to a person by fixing or limiting the ownership period based on the death of the beneficiary or recipient or the death or settler. And the next is rukbah, transfer of ownership from one person to another, which is if one of them pass away, the property that is endowed as hibah will be owned by the one that is still alive.
Hi, Assalamualaikum. My name is Siti Nur Aisyah binti Muhammad Basri and my metric number is 279951. So for today, I would like to present about application of Hibah in Takaful. So before we start to talk about application of Hibah, we need to know the definition of Hibah as a general. Okay, Hibah is a one of giveaway, donation or present that will involving the akad in contract that consists of giving the property that they own to another person. Hibah, there are two forms of implementation, which is the first one is hibah through takaful product and hibah to the participant takaful. In hibah through takaful product, hibah that have been done by takaful participant who wants to put forward the hibah recipient as the participant while takaful operator will contribute as a taxpayer. Okay, for this method, several facilities that offer the takaful products such as Iqra that have been introduced by Takaful Nasional Sdn Bhd. There have also student and education which own Syarikat Takaful Malaysia Berhad, and also they have the youth plan by Takaful Ikhlas Berhad. The implementation of hibah through takaful product was started when the balance amount of outstanding to participants account will be sent in the possession of Shara to the law that have been discussed before. This end up with given the benefit from the participation as the takaful participant that he or she will own. Okay, for the second application is hibah participant takaful. Okay, the tabaruk concept will be implemented in takaful fund management, will make hibah become as a reward to the participant about the certain success that have been achieved by the participant. Okay, hibah always maintain as the clear type and not in a conflict mood with principle of Shara. To that, the harmonious and condition can be met. Okay, as the conclusion, we know that tabaruk is one of the main principle in takaful insurance, which mean donation. So this method include the tabaruk concept because it's very related to the definition of hibah that close the word giveaway. As we know, the definition of hibah is a giveaway, right? So it's actually related for this application. The last of application of Hibah in Takaful is resolution or ruling of Hibah, which provide coverage for Takaful participant. Okay, it is dependent on the condition Hibah and the status of Hibah. The first requirement is if the participant still alive when the certificate of takaful reach the mature tenure, the participant will get the benefit from it. But if the participant passed away before the certificate reach the mature date, the hibah will be effective. The participant also can entitled to revoke his hibah which made before the maturity of takaful participant. Okay, that's all from my part. Thank you for listening to my explanation about application of Hibah in Takaful. Have a nice day.
Okay, Assalamualaikum. My name is Nur Atira Munira binti Ahmad Asri and my matric number is 281213. Okay, I will explain about the benefits of Hibah in Takaful. Okay, the first benefit is hibah as an income replacement. Hibah is very important as an income replacement to the heirs left behind. For example, the loss of the head of the family due to the death will result in a family losing all sources of livelihood and monthly alimony. Wife who used to be a housewife may have to find work to support the family, children, and also need to be thrifty to survive. So, this is where Hibah Takaful plays an important role in ensuring that the heirs you leave behind can continue living comfortably and have a source of income to cover their daily expenses. Okay, the second benefit is as a debt settlement. Debt is the main thing that needs to be settled by the heirs immediately after the death of a person. For someone who has a large debt commitment such as business debt, personal financing worth thousands of ringgit, of course it burdens the heirs not only financially but their emotions are also disturbed by the debt left behind. Therefore, Hibah Takaful is the best way to ensure that the departure of a person does not complicate and burden the heirs. With that, they can use the money left by the deceased to pay all his debts and the heirs can continue their life as usual. Okay, next we move to the third benefit, which is child education fund. It is our responsibility as a parents to provide the best education for our children for the sake of a bright future. However, the rising cost of education every year makes it difficult for parents to provide adequate expenses to cover the cost of their children's education. Therefore, With Hibah Takaful, you are able to provide sufficient funds for your children to further their education even if you are no longer with them. The earlier you contribute Takaful and Hibah to your heirs, the lower the monthly contribution and the more secure the future of your children. Okay, the last benefit is absolute receiver and hassle-free process. In contrast to wasiat and division of inheritance, hibah is the gift of an indisputable gift by a person to his heirs. This means that the recipient of the hibah is the absolute owner of the gift either in cash or property after the death of the owner. Besides that, the process of takaful hibah claim is also easy and fast without involving any additional cost. In hibah, it also does not require the heirs to hire a lawyer or appoint a third party to manage it. In addition, hibah of takaful also can be categorized as a liquid asset, so that the claim process is easier and faster. Imagine if the heirs was a housewife with no sources of income, it is difficult for them to get quick financial help to go through of her life.
Okay, now I will tell about misconception of hibah. It is significant to clarify the status of the nominee, either as a beneficiary or an executor, in order to avoid any misconception among the legal heirs in the future. Besides this, the study also seeks to assess how far the related concept of hibah to the nomination in family takaful is currently implemented by takaful operators in Malaysia. Hibah seems to be an alternative for Muslim participants to allocate the takaful benefits to the right beneficiaries without adhering to the Islamic law of inheritance or fara'id. This study adopts the document analysis to identify whether the takaful nomination form is standardized and clarified in respect of the status of the nominee for each takaful operator in Malaysia. Sample of 8 licensed takaful operator are selected in this study. The result of this study found that the takaful nomination form is not standardized among all the takaful operators. The status of the nominee is not clarified in some takaful nomination forms, either as a beneficiary or an executor. In addition, the application of hibah seems to violate the nature of hibah itself. Its hibah should take place during the lifetime of the participant. This study concludes and proposes some recommendation for takaful operators to provide better and enhanced implementation of nomination and hibah in family takaful.
Okay, next I will present about the issue that arise from the implementation of hibah in takaful. There are some issues that arise from the use of the concept of hibah, which is suspended by death, or the conditional hibah. One of them is it causes confusion to the community whether the hibah money is still considered as the property of the takaful participant or not, even before it is paid to the beneficiary. This means while the contributor is still alive. This is because takaful participants have to put the nominee on the benefits that will be obtained from the takaful contributed, and this gives confusion to them about the ownership of the status of the money before it is given to the beneficiary. Okay, another issue that arises is whether the provision of takaful benefits under this conditional hibah will turn into a wasiat. This is because the concept of the execution of a wasiat is almost the same as the provision of takaful hibah benefits. Wasiat means a gift or contribution by a person to another person after he or she dies, whether the words of the wasiat are uttered or not. If viewed in terms of the meaning of conditional hibah, the hibah also given to the heirs or dependents after the death of the takaful contributor. As we know, the concept of hibah has been practiced in family takaful products as a way out to enable the money from takaful benefits can be given to certain recipients according to the wish of the contributors without being subject to fara'id or wasiat law. Therefore, the issue that arises shows that the use of conditional hibah in the payment of family takaful benefits to certain nominees after the death of takaful participant without being subject to fara'id and wasiat law still needs to be refined to ensure that every Islamic takaful operation remains compliant with Sharia law.
The next part is challenges. The first challenge is against the nature of hibah. According to Islamic concept of hibah, gifts can be given amid the lifetime of one person. But in family takaful, the takaful benefits are given as a gift if the policy holder pays on some time recently the maturity. In this way, it goes against the nature of hibah itself. At Noor 2008. Another point to be noted is that if takaful advantage is distributed after the passing of the member, it must done with subject to a certain conditions. There are the dispersion of estate must not surpass 1/3 on the estate, the cost and debts. The dispersion of estate after the passing of considered was wasiya and not as hibah. Next challenge is ownership and evasion of fara. Regarding the money within the member account, when a member pays on, it is part of his estate. In any case, with regard to the money payable by the takaful operator taken from the special participant account, is it still questionable? The reason being the participant doesn't own the money in this fund. 2. The member does not own the takaful advantage during his lifetime, but the ownership of the takaful advantage is transferred to the don after the passing of the member. But based on the conclusion of the juries, in any property that was not possessed by the expired amid his lifetime must be dispersed concurring the Islamic law of inheritance. As hibah cannot be implemented after passing, a view law specialist accept it could be a strategy to maintain a strategic distance from the Islamic law of legacy, and thus it negates the Quran. And that's all from my part. Thank you.
In conclusion, hibah is an important concept in takaful operation. Without hibah, disputes may occur between family members, friends, and heirs. Islam has set a regulation that is important and key to ensure the well-being of Muslims. This is why every Muslim should practice Islamic rules and beliefs in their daily lives.